Imagine waking up one morning. You turn on the television, the stock market is closed, the banks are silent, and one sentence keeps repeating on the screen: the dollar is no longer safe. You immediately grab your phone and check your bank account. The numbers are still there, but they no longer mean anything. Your entire savings, your retirement fund, all of it has turned into worthless pieces of paper overnight. Panic sets in. A tight feeling in your chest. Stores are full of products, but shopping carts are empty. Gas stations have no cars, because fuel is now traded only for goods with real value. It sounds like a movie scene that could never be real, doesn't it? But history tells us something important. This scenario may be closer than we think. Welcome to Code 404, Economy, where the historical codes of money are revealed. The truth is always hidden in the details. The Greek drachma, the Roman denarius, the Venetian ducat, and just a century ago, the British pound, all were once the dominant currencies of their time. Eventually, every one of them was replaced. There is no reason the US dollar should be different. So what would actually happen if the US dollar completely collapsed? This wouldn't be just America's problem. It would be the world's problem. Because the dollar is not an ordinary currency. Since the United States emerged as the world's super economic power after World War II, the dollar has been the world's dominant reserve currency. The dollar is the backbone of the global economy. Today, most global trade is conducted in dollars. Oil is priced in dollars. Countries hold their reserves in dollars. Corporations and governments borrow in dollars. So if the dollar falls, it's not just a currency that collapses. An entire system collapses. Its downfall would disrupt global markets and trigger widespread economic instability. Let's go back to the 1920s, Germany during the Weimar Republic. Money was losing value at an unimaginable speed. People burned paper money just to stay warm. This is not an exaggeration, because firewood was more valuable than cash. Now let's come to the present day. Venezuela. Just a few years ago, hyperinflation caused prices to double within a single week. Money became so worthless that it took suitcases full of cash to buy the smallest necessities. The same happened in Zimbabwe. Trillion-dollar banknotes were printed, yet they couldn't buy a single loaf of bread. These are not movie scenes. These are real events that happened in the real world. Now imagine this happening in the United States, the US dollar becoming worthless overnight. At that point, it wouldn't stay confined to America. Across the world, markets would freeze, trade would slow, banks would face liquidity crises, trust would disappear. Because suddenly, every asset people hold would be questioned. Credit cards wouldn't work, cash in your pocket would be useless, employers couldn't pay wages, landlords couldn't collect rent, banks would lock their doors, retirement accounts would collapse overnight, and people would return to barter. You trade eggs for bread, canned food for repair work. Modern life would slowly unravel. An energy and food crisis would be at the door. So what would governments do in such a situation? An emergency press conference. The president personally at the podium. We are aware of the situation. We are doing everything necessary to regain control. Everything necessary. But what does that mean when the dollar has lost its value? We could freeze bank accounts. We could impose price controls. We could introduce a new currency. You still think something like this could never happen, don't you? Let's go back to 1934. The United States banned private gold ownership. There is historical precedent. And history is a mirror. Could something similar happen again today? Who knows? When we look closely at the global situation, everyone is searching for a new leader to replace the dollar if it loses its throne. The euro, the Chinese yuan, gold, maybe Bitcoin, none of them can fully replace the dollar on their own today. Because the dollar is not just a currency. It is a payment network. It is a debt system. It is a trust mechanism. And this network was built over 80 years. While the situation is complex for governments, it is actually more stable for individuals. Gold returns to the stage, the only asset that has preserved value for thousands of years. Cryptocurrencies may also accompany gold. Decentralized, limited supply, outside government control, but of course, risky. Dependent on electricity, the internet, and technology. The only true fact is this: there is no such thing as a risk-free investment. Now let's look at the situation from the perspective of central banks. Central banks do not panic. They are prepared. They immediately buy gold, adjust their currency baskets, move interest rates aggressively. But remember this: if there is no alternative, there is no escape. The real question is this: can this actually happen? Will the dollar collapse? The probability is very low. Rising inflation, growing debt, endless money printing, and the loss of global trust. All of these are warning signs. History tells us one thing clearly: no currency lasts forever. But the real question is this: if the dollar collapses, is the world ready? The answer is clear: no. That's why the dollar still stands today. Not because it is strong, but because there is nothing to replace it. If this video gave you a new perspective, subscribe. The answers of history are hidden in the codes. We reveal them.